Not this past October, but a year before that, in October of 2009, some priest friends and I decided to celebrate our 10th anniversary of conquering Mount Morgan. Not Captain Morgan. Mount Morgan in New Hampshire. It's about in the middle of the state. It's in the White Mountain region. Beautiful place. In 1999, we hiked up to its summit. It was on a crisp, clear, beautiful day. And when we got to the summit, you could see this spectacular view and the Finger Lakes down below. It's that same area where they filmed on Golden Pond. Did you ever see that movie with Henry Fonda and Jane Fonda? That's the area. And so we took pictures, still have them. And so one of my friends decided, let's go back on the same day, 10 years on the day. And so we did, although we were a little more bald. And if we were not bald, our hair was a little more gray. If you saw us from the side, it looked like some of us were pregnant. The spring, we didn't have as much of a spring in our step. And the day wasn't as nice. It was a very foggy day. There was a mist in the air. And we began our hike, some 2,500, 3,000 feet. And because of the fog, we weren't always sure if we were on the trail. And there was a point, just when I thought we were lost, I saw this yellow stripe on a tree trunk. It was white or yellow paint. A ranger must have put it on there to tell the hikers that they were indeed on the right trail and going the right way. And every so often, as we continued on, there would be another yellow stripe to keep us on that path until finally we reached the summit. Again, the day wasn't quite as nice. We couldn't see quite as far, but it was still just as satisfying. And I know that we probably wouldn't have reached the summit if it wasn't for those markers. Today's gospel is like one of those markers, like one of those yellow stripes as we are on that way towards the summit. You know, for the last 6 weeks, the last 6 Sundays, we have been listening to Jesus' Sermon of the Mount. Whenever we think of the Sermon of the Mount, we usually think of the Beatitudes, and that's certainly a part of it. Blessed are they. But that's just the beginning of the sermon. Chapter 5, 6, and all the way to the end of 7 is one long sermon that Jesus gave on that mount. And we have been listening to that sermon for 6 weeks. And you thought I preached long. But you know, sometimes, as one Sunday falls into another, sometimes we can lose the forest because of the trees. And we do not see the full context of what Jesus is trying to teach us. Of all 4 Gospels, Matthew is the most organized. And what he has done in giving us the story of Jesus' life and teachings is he's given us blocks of teachings. In chapters 5 through 7, and we've just finished now the end of chapter 7, we have finished one of those blocks of divine teaching. And now he puts a stripe of yellow paint for us to mark the way. Because now, what he does in following up on this, and there's this pattern all through Matthew's gospel, that after the teachings, now there are the deeds. And Jesus blazes the trail puts his own words into practice for the next 2 chapters, showing what it means to be poor in spirit, to be a peacemaker, shows what it means to be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, shows what it means to turn the other cheek, shows what it means to, if someone takes your tunic, give them your cloak as well. Shows what it means in all of these things that he's taught in these last 6 weeks. Now he enfleshes them and shows us the way. Like one of those yellow stripes. And he culminates the sermon at the very end, of which we just heard today. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only those who do the will of my Father in heaven. If you listen to my words and put them into practice, then you will be like that wise man who builds his house on solid rock. The winds come, the rains fall, but the house stands. There's a true story that comes from the Netherlands. Little town, fishing village in Holland. And they even have a plaque that reminds the people of this. Some time ago, in this little village, the whole village is surrounded and is run by the fishing industry. All of the men are fishermen. And one night, there was a fishing boat out at sea, and it was a bad storm, gale force winds. And it was so bad that it capsized this fishing boat. And they were able to send out an SOS. And one of the volunteer rescue teams got into the rescue boat and went out, darted through those wild and raging waves, and finally reached the capsized boat. And they were able to rescue all but one. The rescue boat was filled to the max, and even if they had put one more in, it would have capsized the rescue boat. They came back and told the captain in charge. And so he frantically tried to get another group together, another volunteer rescue team. And at that point, a young 16-year-old boy stepped forward. His name is Franz. And his mother held him back and said, "Please don't go. I lost my husband, your father, 10 years ago in a shipwreck. Your older brother, Peter, has been lost at sea for 3 weeks. You are all that I have. Don't go." Franz said, "Mother, I have to go." What would happen if everybody said, "I can't go. Let somebody else do it"? We have made a commitment in our words to support our families and our neighbors who fish here. It's my turn now. I have to go. And so he did. And for the next 2 hours, which seemed like an eternity to Hans' mother, the boat came back. And someone yelled out from the shore, "Did you get the last one? Were you able to rescue him?" And Hans was at the end, at the bow of the ship, and he yelled out with great excitement, "Yes, we found him. We saved him. And tell my mother, it's my older brother Peter." My friends, Jesus is telling us the same thing. In this composite of this teaching, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is reminding us that not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only those who also do the will of my Father. And Jesus is not just pointing the way. He's blazing the trail. He's putting that yellow stripe ahead, showing us the way by showing in his own actions where to go. Until finally we will all reach that summit, the kingdom of heaven, of which we are all called to. God bless you.